Hello, welcome to the second episode of the Sissine Show, addressing the indoctrination of the American nation. Believe it or not, they let me back here for a second day. I don't know why, but if you keep tuning in, maybe I'll be here tomorrow for a third. So yeah, remember you can follow me on Twitter at Katie FYNTV, and you can also email me with comments and suggestions, maybe some constructive criticism on katie@fetchyournews.com. So Katie at KatieFYNTV, and you can email me at katie@fetchyournews.com. So please don't forget to do that. I would appreciate any comments or suggestions very much. Now, just in case you weren't able to see the last episode, you can check that out on our YouTube channel on Fetch Your News under our videos. But in case you haven't seen it and you're tuned in right now live, I understand you might not want to go back and look at something that we've already played. So I'm just going to give you a little info about what we discussed on the very first episode. My slogan, addressing the indoctrination of the American nation, is the theme of my show because I think it's very important that we are all aware that we have been swayed by liberal media through the news, through our music, through our movies. We have actors speaking out about their beliefs that are coincidentally nearly always liberal. And I just think it's very important that we address that and that we're aware of that in order to facilitate us doing our own research and having our own beliefs. As my viewers, I want us all to make ourselves more aware of what the media is pushing onto us as the truth. Because it's not the truth, it's simply a partial opinion. And it's very partial toward the liberal end of the spectrum. And it's very evident. And we saw a lot of that throughout the election. In the last episode, I gave a lot about my background. I spoke about my childhood. I was raised in a conservative neighborhood by conservative parents, as were most of my friends and neighbors. Probably, 9 out of every 10 of us, just to give you an example. And I was exposed to liberal bias in school from a very young age. And I stated in the last episode, it felt like it was a tug of war between our conservative parents and our liberal government employed teachers, and with us kids in the middle, and we felt like we couldn't express our opinions in school or at home because we had two separate role models, our teachers and our parents, that were telling us opposite information about the state of our government, which rules everything. And even in a greater perspective, we live in the United States, the current great power of the world, the current hegemon of the world. And that's even more of a reason why I value this show so much, and I want to get my voice heard out there so much is because it's just something that we all need to be aware of. And we all need to do our individual research, and I want to do that here on my show with y'all as my viewers together. And I also talked about how I decided to study political science. It was because I didn't feel like I had my own voice in politics, and I really wanted to figure out what the deal was. I wanted to know what politics was all about. I wanted to know the history behind it, the philosophy. I wanted to know other people's opinions, other political scientists' opinions, so that's what I did. I decided to major in international affairs. And I've completed all my major studies for that. And now I'm getting a certification in music and entertainment business. And so this was the whole kind of deal, in college when I chose my major. It was like I was supposed to have an opinion because my country depended on it. But it didn't seem like many of my friends really realized that. I mean, I was lucky enough to have parents that asked me, why aren't you voting, or why aren't you more involved, and why don't you know what's going on in the news? I was lucky I had that. Now, granted, my parents didn't talk to me at the dinner table about politics. I grew up talking about music and movies and, entertainment and sports. My family was all about that. But they were still politically informed because they grew up in a society, in a generation before me where they informed Americans about politics and not in a biased manner. But unfortunately, the generation that I grew up in has been brainwashed and, you could say manipulated by the liberal media and the in the liberal government. So I was supposed to have my own opinion because my country depended on it as a citizen of a democracy. Throughout my life, I was always fascinated by psychology and philosophy and history, all of which determine theories of political science. So I am so thankful that I chose to study political science, and I can say with confidence that now I love politics. As I expressed in episode 1, if you weren't tuned in for episode 1, I find that most kids on my college campus at Kennesaw State University, they always love to say they hate politics. They never want to talk about it. It's always that taboo subject that no one ever wants to discuss. And it's no coincidence that these same students and adults that are out of school that say they hate politics are actually the liberals that don't understand politics. And it's absolutely no coincidence, because if you're going to believe in a liberal agenda, there's a high probability that you were told to believe a liberal agenda. You didn't study and find out that you were liberal. It seems to me that most of the people that are liberal have just been told that they're supposed to be liberal by the media and by the teachers, the same way that I was. So they don't understand politics. That's what I'm finding with these liberals, is they're not understanding the philosophy and the history and the psychology behind it. There's so much to it. It's a science. It's a social science, of course, but it is a science. And it is the one social science that has maintained the sacred philosophical text that Americans used to study in the glory days before the British invasion of music and pop culture, and the term teenager was invented, and all these other things came to be that have brainwashed our society and undermined our democracy. So these liberals who have been told to be liberal without researching for themselves, and I'm not saying all of them have, but most of them that I have met personally, that's the situation. They feel like they have no power in politics, but yet they live in a democracy with a government run by the people, for the people. So they obviously aren't getting it. If they know they live in a democracy that's run by the people, for the people, then why would they ever feel powerless? Do they even know what democracy means? Have they forgotten? Yes, they absolutely have. So as a result, and it's evident. It's evident by what kids are doing and what young adults are doing in their day-to-day lives. We've got more kids that are reading Twilight than the Bible. And we've got more teenagers that are watching Family Guy than the news. And I don't know if any of my viewers out there watch Family Guy or ever have. You know, I've watched Family Guy. It's funny, it's goofy, it's very inappropriate, and barely scrapes by TV regulations like a lot of other cable shows. Anyway, needless to say, it kind of makes me feel a little bit dumber after I watch it. And it's one of those vices that I have when I sit down and watch an adult cartoon like that. So we've got, you know, more teenagers and young adults that are watching these shows that are kind of just frying their brain, that are actually watching the news. And we really need to be more conscious about what we're allowing our minds to see and perceive. Because what we expose ourselves to, it defines us. So let's think about that. So a little bit more about my college experience and who I am. I'm 24. I'm currently a student at Kennesaw State University. I'll graduate with a degree in international affairs with a concentration in Spanish language. I'm fluent in the Spanish language, and very proud of that. I've learned a lot from learning a different language. I've gotten a whole other global perspective from it, in addition to understanding more about just linguistics itself. And I'm also working toward a certification in the Joel A. Katz Music and Entertainment Business Program. Joel A. Katz was the very first entertainment lawyer. His first client was James Brown. You know, just to name drop a little bit, he actually handles the Michael Jackson estate. So to have his blessing in our music and entertainment business program is a very great thing, and I'm very lucky and fortunate to be a part of this great program. Over the summer, I got to go on a trip with them, and that was nice. So I'd like to tell you all about that a little bit later. And I got to learn a lot. I got to visit Sony and see the executive side of that. And anyway, some other great organizations, as well as sightseeing in Liverpool. For the sake of my Spanish language studies, I went abroad to Murcia, Spain, on the Mediterranean coast. And I learned a lot over there. I immersed myself in the Spanish culture and language, and it was a great opportunity. And it showed me how adaptable I was. And it also helped me learn a lot about myself. Before then, I had studied political science, but I had never lived in another type of society. I'd always lived in the US. So when I went to Spain, I was able to see what living in a socialist country was like. And I was really excited about it, and I thought all great things about it. As far as I knew, they went to school for free. They were taken care of healthcare-wise, and everything seemed, greener on the other side. The grass is always greener on the other side, right? But not really in my case. And I found that out by firsthand experience, which I felt very fortunate to do. So please stay tuned. We are going to go to a commercial break, and I'm going to continue about my experience in Spain, continue telling y'all about what I learned from living there for 6 months for a semester. And remember to stay tuned in to FYNTV.com Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. for the Katie Sissine Show. And this episode will also be posted on YouTube if you can't stick around right after we get done airing live. So please continue to watch for more information about our country's misinformation. And thank you so much for staying tuned in.
Looking for in a vehicle, start your search at Schottenkirk Ford Jasper. We've simplified the process so you can move on to what matters, your family.
El Rey and Ellijay.
El Rey Mexican Restaurant.
Family owned and operated, and a local favorite for families, parties, and meetings.
Great prices.
Friendly service and delicious Mexican cuisine.
Patio dining available.
Come sing in Carlos's Cantina every Friday 9 to 1.
Eat in or take away.
Same location for 14 years. Open 7 days at the corner of Maddox Drive and 515. North Georgia's favorite Mexican cuisine. El Rey and Ellijay.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in Ellijay, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair, and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
Pizza Hut makes great pizza, but they can't tell you what a gift it is. I can. They took a grilled cheese and combined it with stuffed crust pizza. To think, I almost wasn't here to try it.
How did you?
It's not important, Jen. What's important is that I watched the sunrise this morning. Then I got to stand in a room filled with this pizza. And later I'll stare at the ocean. Or maybe I'll learn Russian. or listen to jazz, or try my hand at needlework, or open a door for a beautiful woman, or read a human interest story, or make dessert wine, or ride a wild horse, or experiment with watercolors. Eat every slice like it's your last. Especially you, Doug. Especially Doug, right? You care about Doug. The grilled cheese stuffed crust pizza. Proof that no one outpieces the hut.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds. Come on in to view the area's largest selection of fine jewelry at North Georgia Diamond. All repairs and designs are done on site by our jewelers. And North Georgia Diamond has the lowest prices on loose diamonds. You can also sell your gold, silver, and coins at North Georgia Diamond between Walmart and Lowe's in East Ellijay. Locally owned by Bill and Allison Craig, North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
If you've been waiting for the biggest sale of the season, this is it. 20% off MSRP, plus huge bonus discounts at Days Chevrolet in Jasper. Now get a Silverado Crew LT from just $29,900 or a loaded new Malibu LT from just $19,900. Every 2016 Chevy up to 20% off MSRP, plus Days holiday bonus discounts. Find new roads at Days Chevrolet in Jasper.
Better days ahead, Days Chevrolet.
Merry Christmas.
Pizza Hut makes the best pizza in the entire universe, but they won't tell you that. I've been marooned on this planet for a while now. You are an impressive race. Your children know excellent hiding places. Your oceans aren't filled with lava. And you figured out how to combine a grilled cheese sandwich with a Pizza Hut pizza. Surely interstellar travel will soon follow. And then I can finally get back home. Round. Round like home. The grilled cheese stuffed crust pizza. Proof that no one outpizzas the Hut.
Well, welcome back to the Katie Sissine Show on FYNTV.com, addressing the indoctrination of the American nation. This is part 2 of show 2. So, as I was telling y'all about before, for the sake of my Spanish language studies, I attended school in Spain for 6 months. I took a little trip afterward for about a month through France and Italy and Switzerland and back to Spain on my own, and that was a whole lot of fun. Went to a few socialized countries. So I've lived in a socialized country, as I've stated, and I've seen firsthand how it affects the people of the nation. Now let's start with the pros. Oh, well, there's a photo of some of my friends and I. My friend Rosa's birthday that I met, who was from England, in Spain, and all of us lived in condos, and that was on the roof of her condo building, and that's where you could have celebrations and stuff like that for free. You didn't have to rent out a room. You could use the roof of your condo building. So that was at my friend's birthday party, and a bunch of my girlfriends there having a good time. All right, we can move that photo. You can see me in the bottom corner there. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. As you can see, we had a lot of parties, a lot of fiestas, and but you know, every day was a fiesta there. So the people in Spain are very laid back. They definitely put family first. They always live very close to home, or they live at home with their parents until they themselves get married. Talking about, you know, the children that grow up. You don't generally move out from your parents until you're married yourself and you start your own family. And part of that is economic, and part of that is just tradition. And so they're very laid back. For example, I would walk to my class at 11 a.m. and I would walk through a plaza right in front of my university, and people would be already drinking beer and smoking, and drinking beer and smoking. And it was very interesting to me to see that, because I had just had a cup of coffee and got ready to start my day, and there were already people just hanging out like it was time to rest. So I find that, you know, although it was laid back and, you know, you get to put your family first and you get to put fun ahead of work, they're not really accomplishing much. And a great way to explain that and give you a physical example is half the kids that are in class in Spain, they don't pass the class. and there's a half pass rate. So 5 out of 10 kids who go into a class are going to fail it. That's the average. And why is that? Well, I've come to the conclusion that it's because they don't have to pay for school. They go to school for free. They don't have to pay for healthcare either, which is a whole nother story. But they're going to school for free, and they get all these chances to go back and just to try again. And if they don't pass, they don't have to worry about finances because they can go back for free. They can live at home with mom and dad until they get married and find a job if they ever do. And it doesn't seem to be working out for their economy. I can't give all the specifics as to why at the moment, but about 50% of young adults my age in their young 20s, there was a 50% rate of unemployment for kids my age. I noticed that all of the kids, all the college students that worked at the bars and restaurants at my university, at the University of Murcia and around there, they were there every single day because it was very difficult for them to find a job. So for those students that did find jobs, they would sacrifice their schooling to go to work because they needed money, not only to support themselves, but to support their family. And they would probably not pass their class, and they would go to work every day. And then maybe they would get fired, and then they'd be able to focus on school because only 5 out of 10 kids are able to get a job. Whereas here in the US, we're more incentivized to do well in our studies because we have to pay for them. So that makes us think twice about the jobs that we take, and we also have the luxury of being able to work part-time because it's not so hard to get a job here. So when we do get a job here, we make a higher wage, we have higher income per capita than they do, so we don't have to work as much. And we also have the luxury, because of that, of taking more time off during school, which I feel is necessary. Yes, we do have to take out loans for school, but we make up for that with our higher per capita incomes. It's about 55 to 35 per year, per person, from US to generally in Eastern Europe, Western Europe, I'm talking about Spain, where I was living. So when I got back from Spain, I'd gotten a different worldly perspective, and I had a band over there. I was able to get involved because I didn't have to work. I'd saved a bunch of money, and I'd been, working full-time and going to school full-time up to going to Spain. So when I was there, I decided to take time off of work and get involved and just take in the culture and everything. So that's pretty much what I gathered, was that I am very grateful and fortunate to be living in a country with a capitalist economy, and where I can be a creator and be an entrepreneur and, reach the American dream, so to speak. So my first step when I got back home was to start my own show. I wanted to do something. I wanted to get something going. I wanted to get the ball rolling. I had this motivation. Now that I was back in this capitalist country with so much opportunity, I didn't feel locked down and controlled like I'd seen my peers in Spain. I decided to start my own radio show at the campus radio station, Al Radio, at Kennesaw State University. It was about politics, and I incorporated music for entertainment purposes. The show was called Polytronics, and on Polytronics, I discussed political current events, conspiracy theories. I discussed electronic artist bios and stuff like that about the music and upcoming shows. But I was very more so interested in the political side. I did need to incorporate music for entertainment purposes, and did give me some breaks to review what I would be talking about in my segments in the show. So on Polytronics, as it is a college radio station, I did a lot of talking to myself and others, my guest, about the state of the government and the recent election when we were beginning to vote just in the primaries. I interviewed students that wished to voice their political opinions and discuss issues with me on my show, and this is when I began to see a parallel between my childhood growing up and being in college, and how other students in my generation were raised just the same way that I was, to be liberal. And I noticed a trend that all the students that wished to appear on my show and be interviewed by me were wishing to express liberal opinions. I knew that there were conservatives at my school. I knew there was an organization in support for Trump, but they weren't ready and willing to speak out on my show, whereas the Democrats were. For example, I had the Bernie Sanders organization there during the primaries before Hillary Clinton won as the Democratic candidate, and they discussed their support for Bernie Sanders, which was very interesting. They were only liberal students that wished to voice their opinions. The conservatives were there, like I said, but they didn't know, or they didn't want anyone to know who they were. It was as if they didn't want to be called out for being conservative because they weren't supposed to be. And people looked down upon it in the college community. And the most surprising part about this is that we're in a red state. We're in Georgia. And it's still like this in colleges. It's a breeding ground. The students in the university, finally able to voice their own opinions in the university, mirrored the teachers that I'd grown up with. Like I said, I saw this parallel. It's almost as if we had been trained to voice our opinions so long as they were liberal. I personally have been constantly swayed to think like a liberal throughout my college career myself. And I myself was afraid to overtly speak out against the Democratic Party. In the first semester of doing my show, I did not express any partisan persuasion of beliefs. I expressed the facts, and I expressed conspiracy theories that were investigating the liberals more so than the conservatives. But I never outright said that I was a conservative because I didn't want to be criticized by my colleagues at the radio station. Everyone who was working at the radio station, Al Radio, with me was overtly liberal, including my guest here that you see here to my right. I had Reggie Williams there right next to me with the hat on. He is a political science buff, and he was there as an icebreaker that day with the president of the Bernie Sanders organization, president of the Bernie Sanders organization and his vice president. And they were some very interesting characters. They had a lot to say, and they were very enthusiastic about their support for Bernie Sanders, although they did tell me that they knew Bernie Sanders didn't stand a chance against Clinton, and they were right. Even in spite of his, well, to me, his better personality and more radical policies that would seem like they would appeal more to the liberals, but not so much when it comes down to money. And which Clinton definitely had the advantage over Sanders in that case. So while being involved in the radio station, I simultaneously joined the organization, the Model United Nations, and I learned a lot in the Model United Nations. I went to a regional conference and international conference, and I learned a lot about myself by immersing myself in a liberal realm of thought. And I would like to talk to you, my viewers, about the Model United Nations more in the next show, show 3 of the Katie Sissine Show, addressing the indoctrination of the American nation. Remember to follow me on Twitter at Katie FYNTV, and also email me with comments and suggestions and things you'd like to hear about me research on the show, because we will be investigating conspiracies here on the Katie Sissine Show at katie@fetchyournews.com. And I'd like to thank you for viewing today. And you can also go to our YouTube channel at Fetch Your News under our videos and check this out again for yourself at any time. Thank you.